everyone, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be discussing using due dates with the Corgi Ledger. Before we get started with the discussion today, just a few quick reminders. If you need to get the actual Corgi Ledger, head to corgiledger.com and click download on the home page. Just make sure you have a Gmail account ahead of time. The Ledger is a Google Sheets document and it goes straight into your Google Drive. You need to have that set up before you get started. If you need help doing that, just see the other video on my YouTube channel entitled Balancing Academics and Screen Time. It gives you directions for downloading the Corgi Ledger there. And real briefly, for those of you that might be new to the Corgi Ledger, let's just review exactly what it is. It's just a points-based system in the form of a simple spreadsheet. The goals for our homeschool were to have our kids be able to plan, schedule, and complete long-term projects. We wanted to allow them to explore the skills and subjects of their choice, but not in a predetermined order. We also wanted them to experience real-world consequences and develop their intrinsic or self-motivation. And most importantly, we wanted there to be no begging, pleading, or nagging required by us, the parents. So how does the system work? It's really easy. The kids earn Corgis or points for the time they spend working on projects or completing units. The system tracks and totals everything automatically, so there's no worries there. And then they trade in the Corgis or points for screen time and other rewards that you've set up. We also added a bonus spin, which will incentivize them to earn a high number of points per day. Okay, back to our discussion for today. Why due dates? Well, in every job in the real world, time matters. It doesn't matter if you're in the boardroom or working at a fast food joint. A late delivery will equal an unhappy customer. Sometimes even just showing up late will result in getting fired. One of the main goals of our homeschool is to have our children be able to schedule their own projects and then complete those projects on time. We want to make sure that our boys can break down large projects into manageable tasks and then stick to a schedule that they've created. When we first tried instituting deadlines, we scheduled several projects with due dates about 2 weeks out, and then we waited. When the due date rolled around, you guessed it, it was a complete and utter disaster. Due dates were missed, unfinished projects started piling up, and we ended up having to scrap everything. So we went back to the drawing board. Just like a building under construction, our kids needed scaffolding or support. Think about it. Are you all that great at time management? Most adults aren't. It's definitely a skill that you need to learn and practice regularly. So we decided our kids needed support and smaller goals at first. The first step in our scaffolding was to teach them how to track the tasks that they needed to get done. This involved getting them a planner where they could write out their daily tasks. Ours was a physical calendar, but you could also use a Google Calendar or a calendar app as long as there's space for them to type in the assignments or tasks that they want to complete each day. The next piece of scaffolding or support that we gave them was to start with short daily goals. We met on Sunday night, although Monday morning would also work, and they gathered together all of the assignments for the week. We would then break those out into tasks that would need to be finished each day, and they wrote them into their planners. This kept them accountable and created a checklist that they could easily follow day to day. Each day, before their store could open and they could cash in Corgis for rewards, they would need to show me their planner and then show me the completed assignments. This made it really simple. If the assignments were checked off and complete, their store would open. If some assignments weren't finished, the store would remain closed that day until they were. Really easy and no arguing. The next step in our scaffolding plan was to go from daily goals to a weekly plan. We still met on Sundays to go over what they needed to have done by the following Friday, but this time I didn't help them fill in the daily tasks. That was now up to them. Their store is open and available to cash in Corgis each day of the week except Friday. On Friday, the store closes until they come to you and have all of their assignments checked off. Once all the assignments are complete on Friday, then they're free to spend the Corgis that they've earned. This allows your children to have additional autonomy when planning their week. The final stage in our scaffolding plan is handing over almost all of the responsibility to our children. Eventually we got to where they can plan their own projects that last for several months. I only check in with them every once in a while, sometimes only once a week, and they are turning in assignments consistently and on time. Using their planners is second nature to them now. This is where Creates and Boss Goals come in really handy. Both these types of projects are supposed to last several weeks, if not months. This allows your kids the time to really schedule out their own blocks and take responsibility for meeting those due dates. It's really quite amazing. So what do you do when your child misses a due date? Well, first let me tell you what not to do. Don't get mad, don't lecture them, and definitely don't say, well, I told you to do the work last Tuesday. The Corgi Ledger system is set up with logical consequences. You don't need to explain that failing to work means missing out on the fun. The system will demonstrate that to your kids for you. This allows you to remain a caring, loving parent and not an evil taskmaster. All you need to do is simply pull out their calendar and review what was due. Then ask them, why do you think the assignment isn't finished? Make sure after you ask that, you sit back and let them reflect on why it's not done. Do not provide judgment on their reasoning. Then ask them, what would you do differently next time? After that, make sure you close the store. Simply tell them your store is closed and it will reopen once your assignment is complete. That's it. The store stays closed until the work is finished. Simple, logical consequences, and highly motivating. Remember the goal of using due dates within the Corgi Ledger system. Your child is going to be learning to plan, schedule, and execute long-term projects. And during this process, they may get upset, say it isn't fair, blame you, or call you mean. You need to stay neutral. Put the ball back in their court. Go back over the calendar, remind them to meet their daily checklists, and encourage them to work hard. Keep in mind that they're taking personal responsibility and learning to choose work over fun for the first time. It's not easy and it's going to take some time. Be there to support your child in this process. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope that helped answer most of your questions about using due dates with the Corgi Ledger. If you have additional questions about how to use the planner and due dates along with the Corgi Ledger, you can leave a comment below this video or join me in the Corgi Ledger Facebook group. Be sure to click like or follow so you'll know when we hold live question sessions. You can also find more helpful videos on using the Corgi Ledger on our YouTube channel. Subscribe there to be notified of new content. And of course, we're also on Instagram at the Corgi Ledger. As always, feel free to get in touch with me directly at thecorgiledger.com by clicking on Contact. Thanks, and I hope I've helped you to start homeschooling without the hassle.